All right, welcome everybody. Sorry for starting a few minutes late, but I want to welcome you all to our Senior Scholars virtual open house. It's wonderful to have you all be here, even though we can't be present in person. But I know that we have some folks who have been in the program for years and those who are now just learning about Senior Scholars. And I am going to go ahead and talk a bit about our program, the application process, and then of course, answer any questions that you all have. I know there probably is a lot of questions given, the many changes going on right now and uncertainties about campus instruction and online instruction due to some of the COVID closures, but no worries, we have plenty of time to go over all of that. But let's go ahead and start with our presentation. So welcome everybody. So the Senior Scholars Program started in 1995 when we had 5 Senior Scholars audit undergraduate classes at UCLA. Our program has grown since then to where we are now in 2021, where we have had scholars sign up for over 600 classes every year through the program. And I'll go a little bit over our calendar, but first I'll go ahead, I'll back up and explain the program for those of you who have never heard of Senior Scholars. Senior Scholars is an opportunity for individuals over 50 to audit undergraduate classes at UCLA. And by audit, we mean that you are attending the lectures that the professors have, but you are not attending discussion or any laboratory aspects of the class. You don't have to do any homework, you don't have to do any tests, and you don't receive any grades, which is for most folks a big benefit of the program. But you are getting just the experience of being in the classroom, even if it's a virtual classroom or in person, and also just the joy of lifelong learning. So we are currently enrolling for the fall quarter. The applications are now open and they will be open until September 3rd. Instruction is going to begin at the end of September on the 30th. And we have 2 weeks in the beginning of the quarter where you are able to go ahead, sit in on the class, see if it's for you. And if it's not, excuse me, you have those first 2 weeks to go ahead and drop that class. And there is not a penalty. And so it's important to mark in your calendars that that drop deadline is going to be October 15th. Then of course we have a couple university holidays in which you will not have class, that's being Veterans Day and the Thanksgiving holidays. And then finally instruction is going to end beginning of December on December 3rd. Now a lot of folks probably have questions about the online transition. As you know, UCLA has been offering primarily online classes since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic back in spring quarter of 2020. In fall quarter, they are choosing to welcome the undergraduate students back to campus, and there are on-campus options. However, these are not open to the senior scholars, and that's really important for folks to know. And I know that that can be disappointing for some folks who really wanted to get back on campus, but we do have to respect that this is, the choice that the university has made, and it is really a choice made primarily for the safety of not only the senior scholars, but also of the students and the staff and the faculty. They have to be very careful about the number of students that they have in the classrooms right now, and those undergraduate students do get priority since they are fully enrolled students. But the good news is that senior scholars are still eligible for online courses. And there actually are quite a number of online courses. And I do recommend that folks go ahead and check out the Senior Scholars Catalog. I will be sending this out to everybody who's registered after the event because we do have a list of all the online courses that are available. And there really is quite a variety. And so I don't want folks to be discouraged at all, thinking they aren't going to have enough options, because we actually do have quite a number of options in all the different departments offered at UCLA. Now, there are 2 different formats for the online classes. One is to have live lectures over Zoom. So that will be a specific day and time. The professor will hold class. You'll be there live with all the students. And so it's important that you be there. Every now and then, the professors will choose to record those live lectures and make them available later on for students to view. But you have to be careful and go ahead and check the schedule to make sure if that's the case, because if not, we don't want you missing any lectures. The other option is what we call asynchronous courses, which are entirely pre-recorded video lectures. So this is great if, for example, you have a busy schedule, or if we have folks that are still working, and going to a lecture in the morning, in the afternoon at a certain time every weekday is just not feasible. Now you can watch the lecture basically at any time that works for you. And so that can be at night, it can be whenever you have a break. You can even watch it in different parts, completely up to you to set your schedule. So that's the second option. If folks do not feel comfortable using Zoom, if that makes them nervous at all, if you feel like you are not ready, to make that technological jump, don't worry. We have training at the beginning of every quarter to get folks acclimated to using Zoom. And I am available throughout the quarter, over email, over phone. If you are having a tough time joining your class, if it's 5 minutes before lecture starts and you don't know what's going on, you can always go ahead and give us a call, and we'll be able to help you. It is important to note that just like with the senior scholars who are attending class from home, we are currently working from home. So if you have any questions about the program, feel free to reach out via email, give me a call, but do not come to our office because there's going to be nobody there to help. So go ahead, just make sure to kind of keep everything online, because we actually are not on campus right now. Let's go on to the application process. The first step is to go ahead and find a class. It's important to note that senior scholars are not guaranteed in the courses that are listed on the Senior Scholars Catalog. Once the application process is finished, once you've applied for the course, we need to go ahead and confirm with those professors that they can take auditors for the quarter. So no course is confirmed, but those that we provide in the Senior Scholars Catalog are classes that tend to be popular and that we do recommend. As I've noted, again, remember that only the online courses are available. If you do try to register for an in-person course, it's not going to sneak you in. I'll just have to go ahead and refund your application or switch you into a different class. So just make sure that the course is labeled as online. Like I mentioned, there's the condensed catalog, which we refer to as the Senior Scholars Catalog, that's available. That's only online courses. And then there is also the UCLA Registrar's schedule of classes. This is basically every class under the sun that's offered at UCLA. Can be great for folks who want to expand a little outside of what they see in the Senior Scholars Catalog, but do just note that that is, because it's all the classes, there are going to be in-person classes listed on the registrar. So just be careful when you're looking through the classes. There's a little section where it notes the location, and if it's listed like a physical location, then that's not eligible. If it's listed as online, then perfect, go ahead and apply for that course. Now we have an online application that's available on our website, and as I said, for all the people who are registered today, we'll be sending out an email later on, and it's going to have the link to the online application. If you're having any trouble filling out the online application, we do take applications over the phone, so feel free to go ahead. You can write this number down now. It'll be in the email. This is my phone number here. I am happy to take them online, or to take the applications over the phone. That's just fine. And there is a cost to the program. That's good to know. So one class for the quarter is $175. And each additional class, if you're interested in taking multiple classes, is $150. So for example, if you are taking 2 classes for the quarter, that would be $325. Now we do provide scholarships for low-income seniors, and if you are interested about that, then feel free to reach out to me directly after the session today. As I mentioned a little earlier, once that application process is finished, once I've gotten all of the course requests from the senior scholars, I go ahead and reach out to the instructors to confirm the scholars in their classes. I would say about 90%, if not more, of the instructors at UCLA are very excited to have the senior scholars participate in their classes, to sit in on their classes. We have, a really high approval rate amongst the faculty. Every now and then, due to different technical issues or just to the structure of the class, professors are not able to accommodate the senior scholars. But don't worry about that. We almost always get scholars confirmed in their first choice and almost always in their second choice. Very rarely do we have instances where folks, are left stranded on the first day without a class. So in the instance that we aren't able to get you approved, we'll have backup courses available for you. Now, once we get you confirmed in a class, we'll go ahead and send you all the materials that you'll need for the quarter. For confirmation, we get you access to the course websites, which is more crucial now than ever because that's really going to be your classroom. That's going to be where the Zoom information is available. It's going to be where the lectures are available, course readings and such. That's really your hub. And so we'll make sure that you have access to all of that, so that way you can go ahead and join class and experience all the aspects of the class that you need to. Now, we do have a program agreement that everybody is required to sign when they join the program, and I'm going to go over this quickly. We ask folks to keep personal opinions and beliefs out of the classroom, and that's because when you join the program, you are joining as an auditor, which is important. And the role of an auditor is to sit in and to listen, but they are not fully enrolled students. So we want to go ahead and leave that, the chance for discussion and participation up to the undergraduate students, because that's what they're there for. And we don't want to take that space away from them. Second, we ask that you please do mute your microphone when attending those live Zoom lectures. You may not think that the background noise, in your home is making that much of a difference, but if you think about it, if you have 50 or 100 students in a classroom and they all have their microphones on, that collective noise can be really disruptive. We want folks to mute their microphone. The instructors are going to determine the acceptable level of participation from auditors. We have some professors that really welcome the senior scholars to participate, and others really would prefer that they just go ahead and listen and learn, but don't participate in the discussion. And so you'll be able to kind of feel that out at the beginning of the lecture. The professors tend to make that clear about what they expect from their auditors. Finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, discussions, sections, labs, and office hours, those are intended for the undergraduate students. We do not have the senior scholars attend that portion of class. The scholars program, we do not cover any of the additional fees that go along with attending class. For example, if there's different class materials or if there's books that you want to purchase, you're not required to purchase them, but if you do choose to, that's covered individually. And then finally, we ask that senior scholars do not email the professors directly unless the professor initiates that conversation. Because again, we want to know the professors are very busy. They're already dealing with all the undergraduate students. So we want to make sure that we're not adding too much onto their workload. As I mentioned before, we want to make sure that we minimize background noise and disruptions. So when you're attending lecture, make sure it's in a quiet, private space. Make sure there's not a lot going on in your background, a lot going on in terms of noise. And then we want to treat virtual lecture like it's a classroom. So we want folks to be attending lecture regularly, and we want them to be on time. Because if you're jumping in the middle of lecture or you're logging on and off throughout lecture, that can be really disruptive for the instructor who wants to just have a stable virtual space. And then finally, I want to talk a little more about the opportunities that we have outside of the classroom through senior scholars, because we do want to foster a sense of community. It's important that we have opportunities for the senior scholars to interact outside of the virtual lectures. The first opportunity we have is book club. We call it Bookmarked. And this is a quarterly book club that we have where we bring in UCLA professors and we talk about one of their publications. So we have just some phenomenal writers and authors who also happen to teach here at UCLA. And it's a great opportunity to not only be able to read their work and discuss it, but then to have a chance to ask them questions and hear more about their process, get that opportunity. This is open just to the senior scholars. We usually have very intimate groups of, 15 to 20 scholars with the instructors. And it's always been just a really fun and interesting and intriguing space. We also have opportunities with different undergraduate groups for the senior scholars and the undergraduates to interact. We've had a wonderful undergraduate group called the Dialogue Society, who has been running socials for us since the pandemic started. And they've had a real variety in terms of content. They have done music hours with us, origami sessions. They have presented research from the undergraduates, and done different workshops with us. And it's a great opportunity that, that intergenerational connection is something that we know in some ways was lost during the pandemic because we don't have that classroom interaction, but something we really wanted to encourage and foster. And this is a great opportunity to do so. They're incredibly bright and interesting students, and we are happy to have them join us every quarter. So let's go ahead and take a break for now, and I'll go ahead. I know that we have some questions piling up, but I also want to go ahead and open up the space. We do have our interim director, Dr. Ercoli, Linda Ercoli, joining us today. And I can speak a lot about just the, the social benefits and other benefits of the program. But she's the one who can really speak to, the brain benefits and the health benefits of lifelong learning. So we'll go ahead and we want to hear from her as well. But I'll see. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing if we can see.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Ercoli.
Andy, good to see you. Hi, and welcome everyone. We have 69 people on our line today. So I see a couple of familiar names in there too. So I just want to welcome everyone and welcome everyone and thank you for coming today. And I'm glad you had a chance to hear something about our great Senior Scholars Program. There is one question, Andy, on the Q&A about whether people can audit graduate courses.
It's a great question. And the answer is it depends. Every now and then we try to keep the program strictly to the undergraduate classes because those are the ones that are most accessible. Every now and then we have folks that are dead set on taking a graduate course, and we are open if that person has a professional background in the course and is willing to provide a resume and a short statement of purpose about why they want to attend that course. We are willing to send that request. It's good for folks to know that they are very rarely approved. And that's the reason we don't encourage them. So I would say if you have your heart set on it, then go ahead, but do make sure to list an alternate course that is an undergraduate course.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I do have another question, maybe that you could tell us a little more about the mentorship program, because it sounds like this is in a way, a volunteer opportunity. And can you give an idea of what subjects or what types of subject matters or careers our scholars have provided regarding mentoring?
Yeah, that's a great point. When we do work with the undergraduate students, it's we have this great opportunity where the interaction certainly goes both ways, where we have the undergraduate students sharing what they know with the senior scholars, and then we have senior scholars who have had incredibly impressive and lengthy careers who are able to support the undergraduates. And we've had a variety of folks. We have a lot of lawyers in our program. That tends to be, we have a lot of retired lawyers, but we've had folks too that were in business, in the nonprofit world, in medicine, who were able to just share some of their experiences with the undergraduates, and it was incredibly helpful for them. Or even, we have folks who are just juniors and seniors who are getting out of school, and they, you know, are looking for those connections and mentorship opportunities. And we'd love to connect them, you know, with the senior scholars as people who feel that they have time available and want to help. You know, so we're always looking for scholars who want to get a little more involved, and, you know, who may be able to, you know, use their professional expertise and help out some of our undergraduate students. It's, you know, it's such a, the words in my mind, but it's a beneficial relationship that goes both ways for the students and the scholars.
Okay, thank you. And so some of our scholars, do you have any examples of what our scholars were mentored in by the students in the opposite direction?
A lot of it, that's a good question. We've had the students usually, they usually provide kind of different social activities, or kind of different opportunities for the scholars to interact and learn. We actually had a great series of workshops that were provided by one of our students, in which they were sharing some of their research and background in psychology, and they were teaching us all about their particular field of study was false memory. And so they were going through workshops like that. And we were all, you know, where we were talking about different personality traits, or kind of like overcoming kind of difficult modes of thinking. And so they were, and that was something that most of us didn't have a clue about before they presented to us, and it was just fascinating to hear.
Okay, great. Great. I think this is a wonderful opportunity, not only for lifelong learning, but that's because that's one of the things our center is promote lifelong learning, but it's about brain health, right? Because people that stay more active and do new things and have a broad range of interests and activities are at a lower risk for cognitive decline later in life. So we're not saying, you know, oh, if you do this, you know, you'll never get dementia. No. But studies have shown that people, especially in midlife, mid to later life, start to be more socially active, more cognitively involved, that they tend to fare better over time cognitively as well. And the brain loves new things. So people are under the impression often that you have to do a specific thing, like you have to do a crossword puzzle, you have to do, you know, some kind of Sudoku or whatever. You don't have to do any of that, as long as you keep learning and also share your ideas and being social. So both of those components are very important. And we've seen a lot of folks suffer the consequences of sheltering in place for the last year and a half during the pandemic. And it's both cognitive and emotional. And we have a lot of anecdotes about this, but we also know that the research thus far that has been done have suggested negative consequences on cognition and emotional health, right, for individuals, and physical health for individuals who are isolated, lonely, and are, you know, missed and lost opportunities to be with other people. So this is again a really great way to get with other people, and to do it in a fun way, right? To do it in an interesting way, and not in a way where you feel like you have to go to the brain gym every day and, you know, do X amount to keep sharp. So this is our favorite program. This program has been in place for a couple of decades, around I would say close to 20 years, and it doesn't seem to be losing any steam, but gaining steam, particularly during the pandemic. So I invite anyone who has some curiosity to try it. We do have a few scholarships available. I think I heard Andy mention that. So for people who qualify. So again, if that is your situation, just contact Andy, and we will check into that with you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Dr. Ercoli, for joining us. And as you said, I think everything was absolutely spot on. And I know that the people have said, like the online classes are different. There's worried about kind of like losing any of the benefits of the program, but it's always important to know that especially now, and we see things that are things are shutting down a little bit again. We're kind of losing some of the opportunities. It's great to have structure. You're still learning something new. We're still providing social opportunities outside of the program for folks to interact. And so we're doing our best to recreate that on-campus experience. And we really do want it to be an opportunity for folks to meet one another, even though we are virtual and we are online. So we want folks to know that when they join, that it's not going to be, it's not going to be isolating. There's still going to be plenty of opportunities to, interact with folks and to meet new folks and to, have that social opportunity. Mm-hmm. All right, we have a little more time available, and I want to encourage folks to go ahead and drop any questions they have in the Q&A, because I know that some folks have a lot of questions about what the online transition is like, and how if things will look differently in the fall when we might be coming back to campus and such. So you're more than welcome to ask those questions. I'm actually going to take this time to go ahead and just walk you through our website and show you some of the resources we have, because I know that folks often ask about the application and often ask about the catalog as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so folks can go ahead and see what I'm doing here. Hold on. Okay, so we're here on the Senior Scholars website. So I want to go ahead and walk you through, if you're interested in applying for a class, what exactly that's going to look like. So we have here, this tells you a little more information about our program, but if you're interested in applying for a class, you want to go ahead and hop over here to how to find a class and apply. So we have two options here. These are the options I mentioned. So we have our Senior Scholars catalog here. And we have the registrar's website here. So I actually want to go ahead and hop over to the website. Are folks able to see the schedule of classes? Let me know if we're stuck on the other page, but we can see here that we're over on the schedule. You can go ahead and search by subject area. This is important. So let's go ahead. Let's say we're looking for a class in, let's say, astronomy. Go ahead and search. Now here's something that's helpful. Especially when you're looking for the online classes, you can go ahead and filter the results. And what's great about this is, for example, if you have certain days you want to attend, if you have certain times that work for you, that's great. What I recommend folks to do is go ahead over here. If you go ahead and select online, then you're not going to have any trouble with having classes that pop up that are going to be on campus because you've already filtered. So for example, we can see that both of these classes here, actually not that class right there, we'll take that one out. This class here is labeled as online. So that's the difference. You want to go ahead and make sure and check the location every time you're searching with the registrar, just to make sure that you are selecting an online class. Now, the helpful thing about the Senior Scholars Catalog is that
you don't have to worry about looking about whether it's online or not, because all these classes available are listed are online. So we'll give this a second to load. So you can see we have all these, everything that we've gone over today is listed here: instructions, program agreements, guidelines that we've gone over, information. But here we can see we have all these classes listed. These are all online courses. Don't have to worry about that. And we try to pick a little something from the majority of the departments. So we've got 6 pages of classes here. So like I said, you know, folks are worried about not having a lot of variety. All these classes here listed are online. And this is a huge mix of departments in terms of, as well, in terms of times, in terms of live classes versus pre-recorded classes. We have a lot of options. So I don't want folks to have to worry about that. Now going back here, we want to go ahead and just take a look at our online application. So once you've gone ahead and found the class you're interested in, you can go ahead and apply online. We have this button here, our Apply Now button. This is going to go ahead and take you to our online application here. And as you can see, if you're interested in registering for a class, go ahead and click View Detail. Go for our first course. You'll see we'll ask for the department name, course number, and course title. Once you go ahead and fill that out, then you can add it to our basket. After that, once you've added all the courses you want, if you want to add more classes, you can go ahead, return to the home page here. You can register for course 2, you can register for course 3. I'm often asked what the limit is in terms of registering for classes. A typical undergraduate student will register for 3 courses. You are welcome to take more than that if you want. I think the highest number I've had from a senior scholar was 6 classes in 1 quarter. That's a pretty hefty workload, but keep in mind, I mean, you do not have to do homework, you do not have to do tests. And some folks really like that challenge. So we do not have a limit, but most folks tend to figure out what that limit is for themselves. The average, we have most folks enroll in about 1 to 2 classes. That's usually a commitment of about 3 to 4 hours a week per class. So you can sense about, you know, what's appropriate for you. But if you are looking to register in more than 3 classes, you can go ahead and register for courses 2 or 3. They will let you register for multiple courses. So you can just go ahead and register for your 4th or 5th class, can be, you know, course 3 again and again. And then a great thing, and I always recommend folks do this, is you'll see right down here, there's an option to register for an alternate course. And keep in mind, this is at no charge, so $0. You can list as many alternate courses as you like. And what's great about this is that if we do not get confirmation for your initial course, then I can go ahead immediately and request the alternate course. And so it helps speed things up. It's great in terms of, you know, otherwise I've got to reach out to you. It might take you a little time to find an alternate course. Time passes fairly quickly. We want to go ahead and get you confirmed as quickly as possible. So that way, you know, your schedule and you know, we don't want to leave it till right before the start of the quarter that we're getting you confirmed in a class. So especially, you know, as I said earlier, for those folks, if you are interested in taking a graduate course, please do submit an alternate request, because we want to go ahead and make sure that you have options. Okay, I see we have a couple questions, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Okay, we have a question here. What is the logic or rationale as to which classes are offered live versus online? Great question. It really depends on the instructor. It depends. Sometimes it depends on the class, and you know, some classes it's easier to offer it pre-recorded. For example, if there's a lot of students who are enrolled, if you have 300, 400 undergraduate students, sometimes that can be a lot to have in a live Zoom class. They just prefer to have it as a pre-recorded course. Something to keep in mind as well is, especially during the pandemic, we had students coming from multiple different time zones, especially our international student population, you know, who was staying at home for for them, you know, an afternoon class might be at 3 in the morning. And so I think UCLA wanted to provide a lot of options for students coming from different areas. But ultimately, it's really up to whatever the instructor feels is appropriate, and however they choose to structure their classroom. So, you know, it's definitely kind of on an individual level of what the instructor feels is best for their course. Going on, I see, do the class descriptions list the books required for the course? It depends. Like the class description, no, it will not list the books that are required. Once you get access to the class website, you will be able to see, typically if the syllabus is available on the class website, before the quarter starts, you'll be able to see the books listed there. If not, there is a link to the textbooks from the course website that you can see. However, if you really want to get ahead and start reading early, I'll go ahead and show you a little hack. So if you go ahead, we're here looking at the registrar. You'll have to go to the registrar for this one. Go ahead, you can find your class. Under section, you'll see there's a little link here for the particular lecture. You can go ahead and click that. And you'll see this actually brings you to an expanded page. This will tell you more about the class. It gives you the course description. This is information just for the undergraduates that are important. But you'll see right here, there is a link to textbooks. And this will bring you to the UCLA store. As you see, in this case, there's no textbook required for the course. That's okay. But if there are books that are required, they will be listed here. So if you want to get ahead, then you can go ahead. You can use the registrar to define the list of books. Otherwise, you can wait until you're confirmed in the course. Folks tend to want to wait because they don't want to buy books just before they are confirmed in case there is any issue. But that is another option. Let's see, could you please quickly recap where to find the menu that allows you to identify online classes only? Absolutely. So we'll go back to our thing, to our registrar right here. Again, the link to this website is available on the Senior Scholars website. This is the UCLA registrar here. It's also available actually within the Senior Scholars catalog itself. All you have to go ahead and do is click filter results. And again, you can change the days you're looking for, the times, but most importantly, you can go ahead and change the location here. Moving on is, do you expect on-campus attendance for winter or spring 2022 for senior scholars? This is a great question. I wish I had a more concrete answer. Because we have not been given guidance yet by the university in terms of if the scholars will be welcome in winter or spring. I think it will be very dependent on kind of the state of public health and, you know, and how things go with the Delta variant. It's hard to say right now because, you know, it's still very up in the air about what's appropriate in terms of meeting in person. But we are, I mean, our hope is that we will be on campus as soon as it is safe, but we will have to wait and get guidance from, you know, the city of Los Angeles and from UCLA about what is appropriate in terms of meeting in person. But we are going to offer all the options that we do have, which right now is the online courses, and continue to have all of our social opportunities be available online, so that we are still being able to provide all the benefits of the program. Let's see, we had someone reach out to ask about financial aid. I am going to go ahead and in the chat, I am going to put the contact information for senior scholars. I do encourage folks to reach out directly if they are interested. We don't provide this scholarship application online because there are requirements that we have folks meet for the scholarship. So we'll talk individually. about what's appropriate and if you do meet the requirements. So you'll see here, let's go ahead and put the email and our phone number as well. I'm going to go ahead and as well, I'm going to put the Senior Scholars website. I'm going to make that available so folks can go ahead and check out our website and learn more. So yeah, if anyone has any questions and in terms about the program that I don't answer today, I really do encourage you to reach out. I work one-on-one with scholars all the time. I'm very familiar with all the participants in the program. And so I'm typically able to get back to folks within a day or so. So please do ask. I'm gonna go ahead as well. You can see here, if you have you're interested at all in the calendar, we have all of the registration dates listed here. And then we also have our senior scholar profiles here. And this is actually something wonderful that I should have put in our presentation, which is that we do have a blog. It's run by two of our ongoing senior scholars who've been they've been supporters, longtime supporters of the program. And they go ahead, visit different kind of LA attractions and sites every Friday. And go ahead and write up pieces for us. So we call it LA Fridays with Bob and Tom. They just very recently resumed starting again because we were obviously taking a break during the pandemic. There wasn't a lot to visit or explore, but now that it is safe to go out a bit, they've been sending us new posts. And we always encourage folks currently it's not an open group, so it's we don't have the senior scholars meet on Fridays, but we do encourage folks if they want to start their own Bob and Tom outings, to go ahead and do that. And we do welcome submissions, so this is great if you're looking for anything to do outside of the program. If you want any recommendations, stellar recommendations from two of our senior scholars, you can go ahead and see LA Fridays with Bob and Tom. I'm gonna go ahead and check on the questions. In non-pandemic semesters, is there any help available for finding housing in the area? We do not work with housing because the senior scholars are auditors. We don't have access. They don't have the same privileges as a student would have. And that includes housing, on campus or local housing and other resources such as that. So we don't work with housing. Can the library be used by senior scholars? Great question. Currently, we do not have, the libraries are open right now just for students and staff. Senior scholars are considered visitors. So as of right now, I believe that the libraries are not open for visitors yet. But I'll have to go ahead and double check because normally the senior scholars not only are they welcome to visit the library and use the library resources, but senior scholars are eligible for a UCLA library card free of charge. So when the libraries do become available for visitors, all you have to go ahead and do is walk in to any of the libraries on campus, go to the front desk, let them know that you're a senior scholar, and bring some form of ID with you, driver's license, ID, whatever it is. They have a list of all the current senior scholars, so they can go ahead and check that you're enrolled in the program, and they will go ahead and sign you up for a library card. For those of you who don't know, the UCLA library resource is extremely extensive. They can not only get you books from UCLA, but they can actually get you books they have connections to all the UC libraries and libraries across the country. As part of their exchange program. And so it's a fantastic resource. So I really do recommend that when that becomes available, that folks do take advantage of that, because I think that's actually one of the best kind of hidden perks that we provide through the program.
And Andy, it's Linda. I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
So if you get a library card, though, do you have access to the online materials, like in the scientific libraries, the journal articles? Does that get you access to those resources? Do you know?
It depends on the particular source. We don't have access to all of the online databases. Like, for example, I've been asked if senior scholars get access to JSTOR, which is a popular kind of humanities kind of online journal, and others. Usually we do not, because they have, usually those are limited to undergraduate and graduate students only because of the contracts that they hold with those journals. But it really depends. So I usually, you know, if someone's not sure, I always encourage them to ask, because you never know. Sometimes they are available, but it does depend. So, and especially, and what's, I think some of the restrictions have stopped now, but actually for a while there and during the pandemic as well, a lot of those online databases were opening up for actually a lot of more public use than they had in the past.
Right.
So we've seen a lot more kind of a lot more sharing of knowledge. That's been wonderful. But yeah, it's dependent on what the scholar is looking for. But we try our best to get folks access, you know. It never, the worst they can say is no. So we always want to see if we can get them in there.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
How many classes, I think you already said this, but about how many classes are in our catalog?
That's a good question. Okay, let me, if I can do the math correctly, if I think about how many classes are on each, I would say somewhere between like 75, I think, to maybe 100 classes. I'd have to double check. But we do have 6 pages of classes available. And that's not as well, we've included the majority of the online classes in our catalog, but there are more.
Right.
There are more online classes available if you check the registrar.
And how would someone find out about those? Or are they able to go to other classes that are online? Because I know not everything is in our catalog. And in the past, when we used to go live, people used to be able to get permission, but I don't know how that works now.
Yeah, so folks, if they're looking, they can, you know, if they're looking for more online classes, they can go ahead and hop over to the UCLA registrar's website here, and look. And yeah, it's a little different for those folks who were attending Senior Scholars when it was when we were on campus. Occasionally we would have opportunities where even if we did not get confirmation from an instructor, folks were able to attend the class online and ask for permission to audit in person. We don't have that flexibility now being online, because we do need the professor's permission in order to get access to the class website. So in those, you know, rare instances that we don't hear back from an instructor about whether or not they are accepting auditors, unfortunately, there's not much we can do, because we can't grant that scholar access to their online class, regardless. But luckily that happens 2 or 3 times a quarter, out of hundreds of class requests that we get. So in that case, like I said, it's always great to have an alternate listed, because then we can go ahead and shift you into a different class that might be more appropriate. Let's see, someone asked, how do we find the website with the Bob and Tom posts? So that's available on the Senior Scholars website. So you can see here, if you're on the Senior Scholars main page where we are here, if you go hop over to Senior Scholars profiles, which is here, then you'll go ahead and you can find all the Bob and Tom posts there. And we see, how can you connect to other senior scholars if the classes are online? Great question. What's good to know is, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. One is, I've had a lot of folks, when they are attending the live classes, they can pretty easily spot who are the senior scholars. If folks have their video on, you'll see the sea of undergraduate students, and every now and then you can say, hey, I think that's an auditor. I've had folks notice that they have senior scholars in their classes and go ahead and reach out. You can use the private Zoom chat and go ahead and contact folks during class. I have had folks reach out to me after class, say, hey, I noticed there was a senior scholar in my class and I'd love to reach out to them. I am happy to connect you to other folks in your class. If you want me to go ahead, I don't release anybody's information, but if you give me permission to, I can give other people, provide your email to other folks. I think the book club is a really great way to meet people, because that's a discussion space that is only for the senior scholars. And that also gives you an opportunity to meet people outside of who's in your class. So I think that can be very helpful. And so that's probably the best resource I can advise, is to be attending the undergraduate socials, to be attending book club, because that's when you're going to have really like that one-on-one time with other scholars. And then, I always encourage folks as well, if you meet someone in your class and, if you want to kind of like start your own discussion space, for example, you might not be able to attend the discussion section with the undergraduates, but if you want to make your own and have that on your own time, absolutely go ahead and do that. We've had folks that meet in the program and they find somebody who they have mutual interests with, and they go ahead and decide that they're going to enroll in a class together the next quarter. So that way they'll have somebody who they can, then you can go ahead, you can meet for lunch after class is done, or maybe in this world you can have a Zoom hour, where you chat about the class. So it's a little more difficult, I understand, because we are online. You can't walk up to somebody and introduce yourself, but I wouldn't hesitate, if you notice someone in your class, if you see someone, and they have their camera on and they look like a senior scholar, to go ahead and send them a message or something like that, because I found that folks really love to connect with other people in their classes and get to know them. All right, we have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead, answer any final questions, and then go ahead and sign off. Next question is, even though we are not attending live classes, are we welcome on campus? To certain aspects of the campus, yes. I do, for example, if you just want to walk around the campus, if you are going to just going on a stroll or to walk your dogs, the campus is open. The outside areas are all open. I do believe that the store and the like the Ackerman Student Union are open for visitors. The library, I'm going to go actually ahead and double check. The last I heard, the library was not open for visitors, but things are changing every day. So I go ahead, you can double check by looking, there's the UCLA library website, but I'll send a little update in the email that we send out after this to see if the libraries are open. If you have for those folks who have a subscription to the wellness centers and to the gyms, I do believe those are open as well. Those are not included through senior scholars. Those are just open individually. If you're interested, you can get a subscription to the UCLA gyms, but I do believe that those are open. So if you do want to visit campus, that is an option. It's just the classrooms and the libraries right now are restricted. All right, it's about 11:27 right now. We have a couple minutes left. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Like I said, you're more than welcome to reach out. My email and my phone number are in the chat. I want to thank Dr. Ercoli so much for joining us today and telling us a little more about the brain benefits of the program. And I'll just say as well, the UCLA Longevity Center does offer programs outside of senior scholars. If you are interested, you're more than welcome. And I'll go ahead and drop our general website in the chat to visit the UCLA Longevity Center website and learn a little more about our memory education programs that we do offer. And if you have any questions about those, you can reach out to me as well.
Also, just want to alert people, you can get onto our mailing list. And if you just email your name to Andy, and we don't pester you to death or anything like that. We just keep you apprised of what's going on. Like when we have a webinar, we will let you know through our mailing list. We try to put on webinars every 1 or 2 months, and we've been on hiatus for the summer, but we'll be resuming that soon. And so if you want to stay informed, just reach out to Andy and we'll get you on our email list.
Yes, absolutely. I always encourage folks to sign up for our email list because, you know, I'm constantly being asked, when does registration start? When does the catalog come out? What are the deadlines? That's what our email list is for. It's going to get you all the resources that you need as soon as they are available. And we'll send you reminders as well about any other events that we're having.
And that class schedule will be coming out soon, correct?
It's available right now.
Okay.
And yeah, everyone who's registered today is going to go ahead. They're going to get a copy of our catalog. They're going to get the application and everything that we covered today. They'll get access to, as well as a recording of today's event for those folks who perhaps missed the beginning or wanted to recap anything. They will get that.
Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you tuning in today.
Yes, thank you to everybody. I hope everybody stays safe and
Stay safe.
healthy, and we hope to see you in the program starting in September. Okay.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.